The recent announcement of Clash being removed from competitive play in Overwatch reminds me of what happened to 2CP. I miss 2CP. Let's have a look. Since the launch of Overwatch 2, 3 game modes have been added to the game. Push, Flashpoint, and Clash. Now, all 3 of those game modes have failed to sway the bigger part of the community. And depending on who you ask, each of them is first in line to be removed from the game. And this is not an issue that is exclusive to Overwatch 2. Back in Overwatch 1, they also tried to add several game modes, like Deathmatch and Capture the Flag. Both of them were instantly banished to the arcade. Even one of the OG modes, the originals, Assault or 2CP, is currently living in the arcade, and it just pops up every few weeks. I miss that mode. I know it's not a popular opinion. I miss those maps. That is not a popular opinion either. But I did not have as much of an issue with either the mode or the maps as many other people did. But those people were being so loud about their opinion that Blizzard had to take action. It started out with removing some of the maps, later they banished it from competitive play, and in the end when Overwatch 2 released, it was completely gone. Or at least it was moved to the arcade. Now, does that mean that Team 4 is really bad at designing new game modes? Well, look, there definitely have been issues with all of those game modes. There is definitely a reason that some people are critical of them. Blizzard themselves agree with that, and over the years they have tried to address all of those issues with those modes. Horizon Lunar Colony was removed from the game for quite a lengthy time to be completely reworked, but alas. The latest push map, Runa Sapi, was based on feedback from the community on the other push maps, and both Clash and Flashpoint got a lot of changes over the last, well, few months. And at this point, everybody can agree that there's still work to be done. But I think there's more at work here. First off, there is the classical Overwatch issue, perception, their biggest enemy, where a certain opinion on a feature will be adopted by the, let's call it the hive mind, and at that point that is considered to be the truth. No matter if you actually played that feature or not. No, really, I'm being serious here. I have had conversations with people that are passionately telling me on why Clash is a bad game mode, after which they tell me that they haven't played Overwatch since Overwatch 2 was released. That is usually the time that I start counting down from 10 to 1 to kind of calm myself down. Otherwise, it would just kind of... The truth is that Overwatch has been dealing with a lot of friction every time they announce or roll out a new feature. And that is due to the extremely rough start of Overwatch 2 that followed a period of, well, close to no updates, so yeah. But it resulted in every opinion about the game starting out negative. In other words, we're just a grumpy bunch. And look, this goes for every feature. The best they can hope for is that we at some point stop complaining about it. That means that we have accepted it and that they did a good job. That is as close to a shoulder pad that they're ever going to get. You know, it is what it is. And second, like I said earlier, depending on who you ask, you'll get a very different answer to the question which game mode they dislike the most. And especially if you start asking why. I mean, there are players out there that cannot sit through a single push map, but somehow they don't mind Flashpoint, while others would rather eat a whole bag of fingernails than play Suravasa again. But they'll gladly go back to Colosseo. My point basically is that there's no way of fixing this. Sorry. I mean, it can definitely improve. There is stuff that they need to fix. But in the end, there's always going to be people yelling because they want a game mode or a map removed. I think that is an indefinite state that this community is in, or any gaming community. And if there's enough people yelling about it and Blizzard is thinking that they can't find a solution to those problems, well, we end up right here, where they first remove a game mode in competitive play, and at some point it ends up in the arcade. But I'm thinking there must be a better way of doing this, right? My first idea was that they would allow us to opt in for certain game modes. That you basically had this kind of settings screen where you could opt in and out of certain game modes for unranked, for ranked. On one hand, that would give the team a lot of really good data to work with. They would get a clear picture of which game modes people like and which they don't. That is data they currently don't have, or at least not as clear a data. It is basically based on community feedback and, I don't know, which matches people tend to leave. But generally, they don't have any feedback on which game modes people actually like. You don't talk about those modes. People that like a certain game mode or a map are not going to talk up. Why would they? I mean, it would be like yelling out really loudly, "I like this seat, it is quite comfortable," every single time you take a train. Nobody does that. Well, there's this one guy, but he smells kind of funny. On the other hand, a feature like that, I think it would ruin the experience. It would make grouping extra complicated. There would be ways around it, but it would be a lot of work. And above all, it would be devastating for the queue times. You would basically just break up the queue in a whole different list of options. So I don't think this is a way for them to move forward. Something that could work, maybe, is a map vote. We've talked about this before. They have talked about this before. Right before the match starts, you basically get to pick a map out of 3 options. I'm personally not a big fan of a map vote because it could possibly possibly add a new kind of moment in which frustration is being triggered. Let's say that you're a really big fan of a certain push map and it comes up as one of the options, but the whole team votes against it. You're going to be disappointed. You start out the match with a negative experience. That is really sound. And we know what people tend to do when that happens. We know what people tend to do if they don't get to pick their favorite hero, let alone if they don't get to pick their favorite map. They leave. And in a way, it's definitely better than just being dropped in a map that you don't like, where you don't have any choice. That is the practical part of it. The psychological part, it really is a different experience. Another thing that actually also kind of counts for the previous option I offered. At that point, no matter how much they improve on the game mode, once it has settled within the hive mind that that game mode is bad, you give people the option to opt out for that game mode, there's no way you can convince them to ever try it again. They'll just vote that map away instantly. So nobody is going to notice your improvements. That is kind of sad. Now, for that specific issue, there might be ways to work around that. Like, the one thing I'm thinking about is to add a certain boon or reward to these map picks. It's not just picking a map, you also kind of pick a boon. And that boon could be double the match XP, for instance, for that match alone. It'd also be a little bit of credits, maybe even some coins. Yeah, I don't think they're going to go that far. But at that moment, the decision of which map you're going to pick no longer is just kind of tied in to which is your favorite. It plays a big part in it. You have the control over it, but there's an extra element to it. And as a developer, you can kind of help people out by picking certain maps that you want them to try. I know, it sounds a little complicated, but there must be a way to fix this issue. Now, if you're about to type in my comments, well, they just need to make better game modes, I'm going to have to count down to 10. My finger is getting itchy. Like I said before, yeah, they need work, but we are just such a wide group with such different preferences and demands. I don't think there is one single solution. They need to give some of the power, some of the choice back to us, but in a way that kind of allows them to highlight certain options. That's what I'm thinking. Tell me, what do you think? How would you fix this issue? And am I the only one that misses 2CP? Can be. And yeah, I know it's in the arcade, but you know what I mean. Who's going to jump into the arcade? Anyways, let me know in the comments. For now, however, that was it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It always helps me out. I also want to thank my patrons. I could not make these videos without you guys. You too can become part of the Omnic Post family over on patreon.com/theomnicpost. If you have a few minutes left, maybe check out one of my other videos. But above all, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Bye bye.